Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. I am NIN Desai, and I will be your host. Before we dive into the agenda for today, let me start with my background. I started my professional career at Merrill Lynch with their private client group. At Merrill, we manage portfolios of high net worth individuals. While it was great to trade stocks and bonds, I was always curious about how these companies went public. Thus, after business school, I joined Pacific Crest Securities. PCS is a tech-focused investment bank with a global presence focused on software, communications, semiconductors, internet, digital media, and others. Here are a few transactions I worked on at PCS. In 2005, IPOs were at the peak, and it was amazing to take all these companies public. But that led to another question. How do VCs know what companies to invest in and which ones to take public? Thus, I joined Alpha Capital Partners. Alpha is a generalist fund with about $135 million of assets under management. My most recent transaction at Alpha was Circon, a software as a service provider company. The 2008 financial meltdown led to a liquidity crisis for entrepreneurs, companies, LPs, and VCs. Fewer IPO means no exits for VCs, no returns for LPs, and as a result, venture funds were on a decline. No new funds means less startup funding, low employment, and slow economic growth. Thus, on April 2, 2012, the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, or the JOBS Act, was introduced, which enables crowdfunding for all Americans. And that's how NIN Ventures came into existence. Crowdfunding is a practice of funding a project or venture by raising contributions from a large number of people, typically via the internet. NIN Ventures is a first-of-its-kind technology venture capital fund to be marketed, raised, managed, and reported online. The general solicitation and general advertising under the JOBS Act and Rule 506C of the U.S. Securities Act made it possible for us to raise this fund. This rule came into effect September 23, 2013, and we were the first ones to go live with a website and videos about our fund. NIN Ventures also became the first venture fund to be seen on a billboard, which was followed by in-taxi ads and other social media facilitated marketing. NIN.VC has been recipient of numerous awards and was also awarded 2015 C of the Year Illinois for innovation and contribution to the venture capital and private equity industry. Moving ahead on today's agenda, which is 2017 financial planning. But before I do that, let me start by saying that smart investing begins with knowing yourself. The key is to start early and invest for long term based on your lifestyle choices, keeping in mind your risk appetite. The next step is to do your due diligence on all the investment options available, including their cost benefits. Diversification is the key to any portfolio. And lastly, it's very important to monitor your portfolio. The market is flooded with investment vehicles, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRA, real estate, and alternatives like venture capital, among others. However, most people are short-sighted and have a three-dimensional portfolio that is stocks, bonds, and money market versus taking a long-term approach and investing in alternatives like venture capital. For example, Yale. Yale is currently the best performing endowment fund in the United States. Since 2008 to 2015, Yale has increased its asset allocation in private equity and venture capital from 20.2% to 30%, out of which 16.3% is venture capital, compared to 13.7% in 2014. In general, most people have the three-dimensional portfolio, but Harvard and Yale have taken the long-term approach and have invested in alternatives like venture capital. And that's because historically, if you look at US VC index and S&P 500, US venture capital index tends to outperform S&P 500. And not only that, they have an inverse relationship. This type of strategy allows them to achieve true diversification and mitigate risk, which is otherwise not possible with only a stock and bond portfolio. Most people are directly or indirectly invested in venture capital via a pension fund or any other investment vehicle. Crowdfunding allows them to directly invest in a fund of their choice, and by eliminating the middleman, that is the pension fund, and the management fee, allows them to generate great returns. And because of that ability, crowdfunding has been growing. Crowdfunding industry has grown from 16 billion to an estimated 34 billion in 2015 and is doubling or more every year. According to the World Bank estimates, crowdfunding will have a global market of 36 billion by 2025, which is 1.8 times today's global venture capital industry. Crowdfunding is spread across various types of funding models, including rewards, donations, equity, debt, lending. The two most popular types of crowdfunding methods are rewards and equity. For equity crowdfunding, the backer receives a share of a company, usually in exchange of the money pledged. For NIN Ventures or NIN.VC, it will be limited partner interest in the NIN Ventures Technology QP fund. But what is the difference between directly investing in companies using a crowdfunding portal and NIN.VC? Number one thing is diversification. As a fund, NIN Ventures Technology QP fund makes multiple investment in companies in different sectors, for example, 3D printing, cloud computing, education software, etc., during Series A and B rounds financing. This strategy helps diversify the fund's portfolio, which is not the case when one invests in companies directly. Think of it as investing in mutual funds versus stocks. Low risk. Given the diverse portfolio, the fund reduces its risk, whereas direct investing in company exposes that investment to higher degree of risk. An appropriate analogy would be to put all your eggs in one basket. A logical follow-up argument would be, what if one makes multiple direct investment in companies of their choice using a crowdfunding portal over investing in NIN.VC? Given 90% of startups fail, even if one invests in several companies via a crowdfunding portal, it becomes solely a game of numbers. That is quantity versus quality. On the other hand, the fund management invests in an entrepreneur because entrepreneurs build companies and not the other way around. We at NIN.VC or any other venture fund not only provide adequate financing, including follow-up financing round and access to syndicate partners, but also lend our domain expertise and networks of partners, help companies with recruitment, PR, marketing, and viable exit strategy. The third most important part is professional management. Direct investing in companies requires time, expertise, due diligence, constant follow-up, and/or monitoring. On the other hand, NIN.VC acts like a financial advisor and works for the investor and in the fund's best interest. The fund also provides quarterly audited financial statements to investors in the process on the process of the fund. Board representation. A $1,000 direct investment in a company using a crowdfunding portal does not give an individual enough rights, while as a fund we take board seat on all our investments. Thus, we are in the loop with the company management when it comes to keeping tabs on the progress of the company, and are also in a position to help and make suggestions on several occasions. Also, the most important part is we are in the loop when it comes to addressing dilution and follow-up financing round. Liquidity at exit. When one invests in NIN Ventures Technology QP fund, they are locked in with the fund and the management for a good 10 plus 2 years. Redemptions are extremely rare, and liquidity happens as and when the fund manages to make an exit in a company via an IPO or an M&A transaction. On the other hand, investment in a company offered in the secondary market for a transfer of ownership. But for that, valuation, timing, and choice of investment will dictate that transaction. The Jobs Act was introduced in 2012, enabling companies to crowdfund. However, there is a major flaw, and that is what NIN.VC is solving. I come from an entrepreneurial family, so I can speak on their behalf. Entrepreneurs are brave and courageous bunch that are determined to change the way an existing industry functions. On that journey, they need a lot more than just financing. They need guidance, domain expertise, help with PR marketing, more often follow-up financing, and crowdfunding portals are not able to support that. On the other hand, crowdfunding exposed investors to a whole new asset class, which the normal population never had the knowledge or expertise to invest in. About 99% of startups fail. On top of that, low minimum investment like $1,000 really does not give them a board seat, putting investors at a high degree of risk. At NIN.VC, we solved all those issues. NIN.VC provides diversification. We take board seat on our investment and lend the necessary support that an entrepreneur needs to build a business, like they would get at any traditional venture capital fund. And most important part that investors cares about is the ability to direct invest and enjoy direct returns, which is not the case with traditional venture capital fund unless you're writing a $5 million plus check. NIN.VC has the best of both worlds. We're a hybrid between a traditional venture capital fund and a crowdfunding portal. NIN.VC is a $25 million early to growth stage crowdfunded technology venture capital fund. We invest in Series A and B rounds and write checks from $1 to $5 million. But why are we doing that? Why early stage technology venture capital? If you notice, from 2002 to 2012, technology investments have dominated the venture capital industry. And the highest amount of venture capital funding occurred in the early to expansion stage companies. If you notice, from 2004 to 2013, sector-focused funds have outperformed generalist funds. And technology sectors have outperformed the rest of the U.S. venture capital index, with early and expansion stage companies yielding the highest returns. So what does NIN.VC invest in? At NIN.VC, it all starts with a disruptive technology. A disruptive technology is an innovation that changes an existing industry and creates new value network, displacing an earlier technology or way of doing business, just like how we're changing the venture capital industry. Every sector at some point is up for disruption. For 2017, our focus is primarily on 3D printing, fourth industrial revolution, cloud computing, virtual reality, financial services technologies, education software, and other path-breaking sectors in the United States. Our goal is to invest in the next big trends within these sectors. For example, 3D printing or personalized medicine. 3D printing has been used for rapid prototyping, has been applied to a number of industries, including manufacturing, automotive, consumer, aerospace, defense, and especially healthcare. As the accuracy and material markets have improved, the medical space shows great potential for this technology. There are about 123,000 people currently on the organ recipient list in the United States. That list grows at an average of 12% annually. On the other hand, organ donor list increases about 1 to 2%. And 21 people die every day because they cannot find the right organ. What if 3D printing tissues can help save some of those lives? Some of the other sectors that we're currently interested is in the ad tech industry. Traditional television has been on a decline for the past few years because the consumer behavior patterns are changing. People are spending more time on their personal devices like phone, tablets, and PCs. An average American spends about 3 hours every day on their personal devices, and this is the first time spent on personal devices have surpassed time spent watching television. So what does this mean for the ad tech industry? The current digital advertising market is about $75 billion, and traditional TV advertising is $112 billion. And as the consumer migrates to watching more digital TV or on-demand content, this $12 billion will migrate to digital advertising, which is a huge opportunity and disruption for the ad tech industry. On that note, we're pleased to announce that we have recently added Mr. Gurbakhsh Chahal to our advisory board. Mr. Chahal is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Gravity4, the world's first high-frequency marketing cloud that dramatically boosts digital marketing ROI across web and mobile and other personal devices through display search, email, video, social, TV, and apps. Mr. Chahal is a die-hard entrepreneur. At the age of 16, in January 1999, he started his first company, Click Agents, which was one of the first networks focused around performance-based advertising, and 18 months later sold it for $40 million to ValueQuick. In January 2004, he launched his second company, Blue Lithium. The company focused on data optimization and analytics and became the pioneer in behavioral targeting, which was later acquired by Yahoo for $300 million in cash. So how can you be a part of NIN.VC? Recently, the SEC approved Title III Jobs Act equity crowdfunding for non-accredited investor, which allows any U.S. citizen, regardless of income, to make direct investment via a crowdfunding portal. However, investment in fund like ours is still limited to accredited investors. One must be an accredited investor and verify themselves as an accredited investor before they can invest in the NIN Ventures Technology QP fund. Accredited investor is an individual with an income of more than $200,000 per year, or a joint income of $300,000 in each of the last 2 years, or has a net worth exceeding $1 million either individually or jointly with his or her spouse, excluding the primary residence. For an entity, any trust with total assets of $5 million qualifies. There are multiple ways to verify if you're an accredited investor. For an individual, it's an income, asset, and third-party verification. For entity, it's asset and third-party verification. What are multiple ways of investing with NIN.VC? There is a wide range of options when it comes to investing in NIN Ventures Technology QP fund, using your checkings or savings accounts, defined benefit plans, self-directed IRAs, and even digital currencies. A defined benefit plan is a retirement plan that can invest in a wide range of securities and investment products, including venture funds. Some of the advantages of investing from a defined benefit plans are all contributions made to the plan and subsequently invested are top-line tax deductible to the business, whether the business structure is a sole proprietorship, an LLC, LLP, PC, C Corp, or even an S Corp. The investment growth is tax deferred under the umbrella of the self-directed, under the defined benefit plan. The contributions might be significantly greater than that of the 401k profit sharing plan to help increase the retirement savings account for business owners, probably the main reason why business owners choose to have a defined benefit plan. To invest in NIN Ventures using your defined benefit plan, you must first sign up to invest in NIN. You must first sign up on NIN.VC and verify that you are an accredited investor. The next step is to establish a defined benefit plan with Robin Weingart and Associates or an investment provider of your choice. Once the plan is established and contribution is calculated, you can complete the subscription process and the payment on NIN.VC. We also let investors invest in our fund using their retirement plans. For example, self-directed IRA. Self-directed is a descriptive term that is used to describe how IRA providers administer the assets they hold. With a self-directed IRA, the client controls what their IRA invests in. Self-directed IRAs allow investors to hold alternative assets like venture capital within their tax-deferred retirement plan. Like any IRA investment, a self-directed IRA has built-in tax-deferred growth, and thus an individual will not pay capital gain taxes on the growth of that investment. Something to keep in mind. The return will flow back to the self-directed IRA and will not be taxable to the account holder. A self-directed IRA allows for true diversification that is otherwise not achievable in a standard IRA portfolio. To invest in NIN Ventures using the self-directed IRA, the process is the same. You sign up on NIN.VC, establish an IRA account with the interest group or a provider of your choice. Once you establish a plan, all you need to do is complete the subscription and payment process on NIN.VC. Digital currencies, for example, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, is emerging as a new form of alternative payment and global currency. We at NIN Ventures understand the significance of this change and thus have teamed up with Snapcard to let digital currency owners tap into venture capital. We allow digital currency owners attain liquidity via Snapcard in return for an investment in the NIN Ventures Technology QP fund. Now let's go through the investment process step by step in detail. The very first step is to sign up on NIN.VC. Sign up is simple. Your first name, last name, and acknowledge you are an accredited investor. Once you sign up, you get access to our marketing materials, our PPM, investor presentation, and other suggested reading. You get invited to attend our events and calls like this one. You can also schedule a one-on-one meeting with us at our office or online via Skype. Once you decide to make an investment, accept the risk and disclosure statement that will explain what venture capital investment is. The next step is to verify accreditation. Once that is in order, the only Only thing that's needed is just fill out the subscription document and the W-9 form. The last step is payment, and it's as simple as selecting the payment method and the amount you wish to invest. Please note that venture capital is a high-risk, high-reward investment vehicle, and we strongly recommend reviewing other suggested reading on our website before making any investment decisions. Thank you again for being on the call. Sign up on NIN.VC and to begin your investment process. If you have any questions, feel free to reach us at contact@NIN.VC or 312-953-0930. I highly encourage everyone to speak to their financial advisor or accountant or lawyer before making any investment decisions. Have a wonderful day and happy investing.
Hello.